Microphones are live.
Okay, she's on. If we need to ask her to help us with the wording when it comes time, we can. We're ready? All right, folks, what mics are live? We're going to go ahead. I would like to call to order the Newington Town Council special meeting of Tuesday, April 19th at 7:03 p.m. If you would please join me and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next we will start with our roll call.
Counselor Braverman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Draco.
Here.
Counselor Camillo.
Here.
Counselor Donahue.
Here.
Counselor Mankey.
Here.
Counselor Nagel.
Here.
Counselor Page.
Here.
Counselor Ratter.
Here.
Mayor Del Buono.
Here.
Everyone is present. We will continue on. Next item this evening is public participation. The limit is 3 minutes per speaker. We ask that you state your name and address for the record. If you are in person, we did start a sign-up sheet, so we'll go in order there. Because this is a hybrid meeting and we do have some folks online, what I typically would do is take one in person, one online, and we'll kind of take turns in that method to make sure that everyone has a chance to speak. If you are joining us in the Zoom application, it is *9 on your phone or raise your hand in the public participation window and we will get started. We can start, there's more people in the room, so why don't we start with someone in person who's ever first on the sign-up list.
Do I?
Either or, yep.
Carol Duggan, 17 Dover Road. Good evening. First, I'd like to thank you for working closely with the Board of Ed on the budget process in an effort to avoid teacher layoffs. It's my understanding that with an additional $75,000 added to the Board of Ed budget, it would be possible to keep our 4 elementary library media specialists in their home school. This money would allow the Board of Ed to hire a new media specialist for the open position at the middle school. Newington history has shown us that once we eliminate positions due to retirement, those positions are rarely reinstated. I have had the unique opportunity to work with our media specialists, both as a classroom teacher and as a long-term substitute in the media centers of 2 of our elementary schools. I know firsthand that maintaining a media center job is like no other. There is constant activity in and out, hours of weeding out old books to make room for new ones, researching and ordering books for our diverse population and student interests, cataloging new books while removing the old ones from the system, setting up inviting book displays, reshelving returned books, assisting with student Chromebook issues, and entering help desk tickets, planning and teaching engaging lessons, assisting teachers with finding meaningful resources to make their lessons come alive, fostering the love of reading among our youngest readers, and the list goes on and on. In addition to the tasks of maintaining the media center, our specialists play an important role in planning exciting and engaging school-wide literacy activities. They go above and beyond to help students become excited about reading, researching, and learning about the world around them, including the many enrichment opportunities. Our library media specialists take small groups of students throughout the week to do activities like book clubs, author studies, podcasts, makerspace activities, and more. Reading challenges like the Jump into Spring with Reading, Battle of the Books, Read Across America activities, and Literacy Spirit Days are all planned with the help of the library media specialists. When you increase the workload by eliminating a teacher, these enriching opportunities, which are vital to the social and emotional education of our students, will be near impossible to continue. Morning book exchange in the media center is vital to promoting avid readers. To quote Kate Riley from Chafee, the Friday morning before vacation, she said, "I had 62 students checking out books in preparation for vacation. That's 62 students who will spend less time on devices because I found them great books to read. That's 62 students who will do better on their test scores because they're becoming lifelong readers. That's 62 students who will be better writers because they are good readers." When you eliminate a position due to budget constraints, the time spent engaging students in meaningful conversations about the books that they love to read, and making recommendations based on those conversations will be impossible to continue. All this time spent cultivating these relationships from grades K to 4 will not happen when specialists have back-to-back classes. In the event that the Board of Ed does not get the additional funding from the state, I urge the town council to add $75,000 to the Board of Ed budget to fund the middle school position and keep a library and media specialist at each elementary school. As members of our town council, you have the power to give our students the wonderful literacy and technology experiences that they have come to enjoy and love. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Duggan.
Thank you.
All right, I have one member of the public in the Zoom window that is asking to speak, so I'm going to go and call in that person. Good evening,
Hi.
Mr. Helvey. I just wanted to let you know that you did send a letter, and if you want that attached, you're only allowed to either speak or do a letter by our council rules. I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Can I just ask a point of clarification then?
In terms of rules of procedure,
Right, just in terms of for submitting the names of the petition. Obviously, I can't read through all 251 names within 3 minutes time. So I guess that would be the concern that I would have, is to make sure that you could have that for the record while.
yes. Yep, what you sent in is going to be attached as the minutes, and the entire council has been able to view that.
Okay, all right, well then, I don't want to jeopardize having that on the record. I just wanted to make sure that, and I apologize I wasn't able to make it in tonight. I'm just sick and I didn't want to pass it on to anyone, so.
We
All right,
appreciate that.
Yeah, we're all in favor of that.
Somebody was generous with me, and I'd rather not be generous in that regard. But all right, well then I'll leave the letter to stand, and I appreciate again everyone's time, because I know budget seasons are not pleasant, and I appreciate the collaborative effort that you all put into this. So thank you again.
Thank you, and feel better.
Hmm.
So whoever's next on our list here in the room, if you
Yeah, thank
would
you for
come
not sharing,
forward. Welcome, Ms. Rodriguez.
Ken Rodriguez, 71 Northwood Road. I'd like to take a moment to thank the Board of Education, especially Dr. Brummett and Dr. Fletcher, for their dedication to the students, families, and staff of our town of Newington in their bipartisan work tackling and challenging the budget cycle. The pandemic taught us much, but none more than our connection to people, students, and teachers are irreplaceable. The effect it has on learning is undeniable. Tragically, due to the budgetary restraints placed on our school district, a position may not be filled, connections may be lost, and relationships could be fractured. I come to you this evening as a hopeful voter, parent, and educator. There's a potential loss of a retirement position not being filled for a media specialist due to the current budget restraints. Knowing the importance of this position and the impact to student learning, relationships, and outcomes, Dr. Brummett and her team are trying to find ways to offset the cost of this position to ensure our children are minimally affected by this very difficult budget process. Our hope is that their work will yield results for our community of learners. Moving forward, as we look ahead to other budget cycles, I ask the town manager, town council, and Board of Education to work with Newington Public Schools to fund the school budget to avoid future losses of programming or positions. Thank you for your time and consideration during these fiscally challenging times. Your work for our community is greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Let me just check our online attendees to see if there's anyone with their hand up. I don't see any hands up, so whoever's next on our list here can come forward.
Good evening, Jonas Roberts, Pfister Drive. I'm a third grade teacher at Anna Reynolds, and I'm a father of 4. 2 of my children have graduated from Newington High School. My third child is graduating in June, and my youngest will be graduating in 2 years. My children have received an incredible education. I would like to make sure that current and future generations of students get the same, if not better, than my children had with their NPS educational experience. I'm here to ask that the town council take this into consideration when allocating funds to the education budget. When the budget is not fully funded, the students in our town suffer. The proposed budget does not plan on hiring a new library media specialist to fill a position that is open due to retirement, and the plan shifts the schedules of the 4 elementary media specialists to cover the vacancy at the middle school. I strongly encourage all those involved in the budget process to continue to work together to find funding for this position. The role of a media specialist is so much more than checking out books, and it's my fear that that is the perception of the position. For almost 2 years during the pandemic, students were not allowed to check out books. The media specialist taught at first on carts and later in the media center. They are specialists. It's in their title. They're experts in the field. They are an important ally to classroom teachers in many ways. First, library media specialists play a key part in meeting our district's vision and mission. They research and purchase books that represent and affirm the identities of the students and families we serve. These books are spotlighted around the media center. All students can see themselves in books when they enter. Media specialists read aloud and discuss a variety of books that work towards our district goals of social and emotional learning and cultural responsive teaching. Media specialists are on the front line of this work. Losing a full-time media specialist would set back and hinder the social and emotional growth of students. Library media specialists inspire the next generation of readers. They are partners with classroom teachers and a vital part of literacy instruction. Media specialists teach reading comprehension, build background knowledge that increases student understanding, which increases their ability to make connections to things they are learning in the classroom. Media specialists wear many hats. They resolve technology problems, swap out damaged Chromebooks, and sign out loaners. Chromebooks and technology are necessary in today's world for students to be successful. When so much of what teachers plan is in the Google Classroom, we rely on students having working Chromebooks that are ready to go each day. Media specialists are an important ally in the work of teaching researching and citation, ethical use of materials, being a good digital citizen, and using technology responsibly. This is just another way our media specialists support our students and our teachers. When a car has a bad spark plug, the engine will still run. The car will move forward, but you can feel the difference. If you don't replace the spark plug, the car will eventually break down. We cannot continue to function as a school district by not replacing positions after retirement. I urge all those involved in the budget process to hire a new library media specialist for the middle school and allow the library media specialists at the elementary level to continue to be an ally and leader in our district's efforts in the areas of literacy instruction, technology, social emotional learning, and culturally responsive teaching. Thank you for considering my request.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. There's no hands up online, so whoever's next.
Valerie Wiki, 46 Michael Lane. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who worked so hard on the budget. As others before me have mentioned, there is a potential loss to our library media program at the elementary level. I'm here tonight to voice my support for our library media program and our library media specialists. I'm a stay-at-home mom, which affords me the privilege to be able to volunteer in the Anna Reynolds Media Center daily. I'd always been a supporter of our media program, but being there in person and seeing just how much goes into it makes me appreciate it even more. There is so much more to our media program than checking out books, so that is part of it too. Mrs. Els is teaching our children something new every time they step into that room. I'm not ashamed to say that I've learned from being there as well. She is dedicated to her job and to her students. She has taken the time to get to know each and every child who comes in her class and is able to give them individualized book recommendations. When she reads to the kids, which they love, by the way, they always get so excited, she provides background knowledge on the subject they are reading about and the author. My son is in 4th grade, and the subjects he has learned and read about this year range from childhood cancer to historical events such as the Challenger disaster. Mrs. Els is able to give them factual information as well as her own personal experiences. I've seen how this resonates with our children. They simply would not get such a well-rounded experience without the work and care of our dedicated library media specialists. As someone who loves to read and has a child that loves to read, it makes me proud to say that our schools value fostering a love of reading and have such great media programs. And I hope that we'll be able to keep them great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, still no one online, so whoever's next would like to come up. I don't have the list, so I don't know if there's anyone else. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna look one more up. Another hand rose online, so we'll go to that person. I see Dana Havens.
Hi, Dana Havens, 113 Stoddard Avenue.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm calling in to ask that while you're looking into the changes of the town charter, you add in there a clause that requires that NPS provide. the Board of Ed-
Ms. Havens, I'm very sorry to cut you off, but this is a special meeting, so we can only have comments related to the items this evening, which are all
Well,
related to budget.
It does. It started off that way, but it does. My next line
Okay.
would have showed you. Okay. Okay, so the clause that NPS provide the Board of Ed and the Town Council a list of all deposit and investment accounts, along with the current printout from the financial institution for the balances. I'm suggesting this since I, as a member of the public, listening to the Board of Ed budget deliberations, I had to bring up the fact that they had an income source that they were unaware of in the form of the Chromebook insurance. So for all, the thing is, I'm just not sure the Board of Ed is aware of all the funds available. And I hope that they would ask to have that for this deliberation and future deliberations to see if they could fund this position and maybe a few more. And that's it. I shortened it, sorry.
Sorry, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Hold on one second, let's see. Richard Leverrier, did I say it right?
Yeah, close enough.
Richard, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, you're on. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Richard William Leverrier, 3 Winterberry Court. I want to say that as a member of the Board of Education, we have, I believe that there's a surplus of funds in other areas that have been overfunded. And I think that this library media specialist can be funded by diverting funds that have been overfunded to other areas. I would like to refer the town council back to previous meetings where I have stated as much on line items. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I don't have anyone else online. Any last call for in the room? Okay, we are going to move on then. The next item on our agenda is remarks by counselors on public participation. Counselors, I'll remind you, since we are in hybrid, it's easier if you raise your hands on the screen if possible. Ms. Rada, I don't see your computer, so I'll just glance down. You, thank you. We'll make it happen.
If we hear Mitch say ow, you know.
She kicked it.
Okay.
Here, you'd be able to see.
Oh, hold on, Ms. Braverman is, I'm just gonna mute Ms. Braverman, okay. Any council comment? I guess I wanna make one. Oh, John, go ahead, I'm sorry, Councilor Donahue.
I just have, a couple, it's actually questions that probably can't be answered tonight. But my understanding is the retirement doesn't happen until December? Or is it already retired?
I don't know.
Okay. Who cut the position? It certainly wasn't us.
No, we don't have the authority to
So
do that. That's the Board of Ed.
2.
Mhm.
Okay, and then 3 is I would think with $78.5 million, you would be able to find 78,000 to fund the position. It's more than double what the town budget is.
Okay, thank you. Any other council comment? I guess I just wanted to go on the record as saying that, and I appreciate the public that came out tonight, and Mr. Helvey did submit a petition that he had in support of the library media position as well. And all of the counselors are in receipt of that. It will be attached to the minutes of this meeting so that it is a matter of the public record. So I just want to make everyone aware that we are in receipt of that. I always feel the need to kind of delineate the role of the council versus the Board of Ed when it comes to budget, because I think there are some misperceptions out in the public, perhaps. I don't mean those in the room here. I know you all are related to our school district, so I know you get the ins and outs. But so other people listening understand, it's our job at this table to approve a dollar amount budget for the Board of Education. We have no say at all in how the Board of Ed spends their money. So in terms of funding a position or who decides not to fill a retirement or that kind of thing, that is not the council's job. We are not able to do that. That is the superintendent of schools and the Board of Education collaboratively make those decisions. The superintendent does the hiring and firing, but obviously she relies on her board for input. I will say one of the agenda items that's coming up is the budget memorandum of understanding between us and the Board of Education. The Board of Education did pass and approve that memorandum of understanding at their last meeting, so it's up for our consideration this evening. And I will just say that the amount in that memorandum of understanding, the $592,113, was provided to us as what was needed to maintain, to meet contractual obligations and maintain staff. That was the amount that was provided to us. We did not come up with that amount. The superintendent and the Board of Education chairman came up with that amount, and on the public record made that amount the amount necessary to maintain staff over and over. It was done at the state of the town. It was done in the budget presentation to us. There was a lot of work that went into this. So I want to make that clear, that that amount was not determined by us. It was determined by and brought forward by the Board of Education to the town council for consideration. In terms of the funding of that position that everyone is advocating for, I absolutely agree about the necessity of a library media specialist. I work in a school. My office is in the library, so I work very close with my media specialist every day, and I see what she does, and I see the importance of it. That being said, when we are provided with an amount that is necessary, that's what we base our decisions on. I did not get an additional request from the Board of Education chairman or the superintendent of schools to add any money to the MOU, or I got no communication from them indicating that they needed that additional amount. So I just want to go on the record as saying that as well. I did communicate with the Board of Education chairman last evening, and he indicated to me that the superintendent and he would be working very closely to make sure that the position is funded, if there's any possible way to do that, either through additional funding that they may get from the state or through other methods within the budget. But they are looking to try and make that work. So I'm just sharing that with the council, with the public, that I did have that conversation just last evening. Okay, Councilor Page.
Thanks, Mayor. And I think after me, if it's your pleasure, Councilor Rada would like to speak.
Absolutely.
I wanted to in some ways echo your comments, Mayor.
Mhm.
I feel in a bind with this because if this were a normal economy and we didn't have hyperinflation, I read in the New York Times last week, we're at a 40-year high of inflation. Everyone knows when you go to the gas pump, when you put oil in your tank at home or pay your gas bill, I have oil, so I can't speak to the gas prices, but I imagine natural gas is high as well, the groceries and so forth. We all know how that's pinching us. If this were a normal budgetary cycle, if there's ever a normal, with normal inflation of 2 or 3%, I would be not only fighting hard for the media specialist, I would be fighting hard also for additional supports in our town library. We've had those conversations, and I think both deserve and need our support. And I think the mayor's just said she agreed, you agree that I think all agree that we need to support our libraries, both in our schools and our public library. The bind I'm in, somewhat echoing the mayor's comments, is when we have our Board of Education and our superintendent endorsing a memorandum of understanding in the context of this really, really tough inflationary cycle where homeowners of all income levels are being hit hard. I'm struggling with this, and I'm leaning more towards supporting, definitely leaning towards supporting the MOU and moving forward with what I think is overall a very responsible budget, given the times that we're in. And the war right now in Europe, I think, is going to only, Lord knows what that's going to bring, not only obviously the tragic loss of life, but for the economy, the supply chain, and so forth. So I would be advocating for a lot more for our schools and so forth, but these are not normal times. And I just wanted to say that that's where I'm at with this. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Counselor Rada?
Yeah, I really want to reiterate what Counselor Page has said that, excuse me, I've heard over the past several weeks, and I've heard all of you tonight. And I want to thank you all for coming out and making the statements that you did. It is difficult. What we are hearing from the Board of Ed, from the superintendent, from the chairperson of the Board of Ed, I feel I will move forward with that knowledge, knowing that, again, these are extraordinary times, and hopefully money will come in from the state for that position so that it is not lost. Two positions have been lost, not lost over time, but unfunded over time in the Lucy Robbins Wells Library. And, I feel very strongly and advocate very strongly for our public library as well as our school libraries. I grew up in this town, went to school in this town, went to the library across the street, and understand how important libraries and media specialists are to the functioning and the education of our students. We will work hard. I can't speak for everyone here on the council, but I know that I will continue to work to see where funds and resources might be available in the future so that we can support what we all believe and know and understand are important resources for our children and for our community. So thank you.
Okay. Any other council comment? Counselor Camillo?
Past two budgets, we've kept them pretty close to zero. And then at the end of their fiscal year, they've had a surplus of quite a few $1 million that they've spent down rather than give it back to the town, which sort of seems like we're overfunding them to begin with. So that's something to think about also. And they're not returning it to the town, which we could help them with other things, schools, doing roofs, etc. So this really needs to be looked at, and that's where Munis would have helped a lot. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just respond here?
Sure.
Yeah,
Counselor Page?
I just want to respond to Counselor Camillo. And correct me if I'm wrong, Counselor, you've been doing this longer than I have, but I thought the number that was reflected in the last two budget cycles was 2 million, 1.5 and then 0.5, 2 million total returned by the superintendent and the Board of Ed to the general fund, was it not?
They also spent more than double that rather than return it. So that means they had extra above and beyond.
Okay, I don't know those details.
And dealing with other superintendents in the past, there is quite a large buffer.
No, I understand. I was just responding to this superintendent who, in my view, has responsibly turned money back to the general
Right,
fund.
and you can't pay people out of non-lapsing funds either.
Just a reminder, we're still in remarks by councilors on public participation. I just want to make sure we stay on track.
Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko?
No, I just want to echo what Councilor Page and Councilor Rada had indicated. First of all, thank you for coming out. And I will say, in my time on the council, I think this has been one of the most collaborative budget interactions between the Board of Ed and the town council. And I feel confident that there will be a way found through excess funds or unspent funds or whatever in the Board of Education's $78 million budget that will be able to fund this position. They certainly know how important it is. We know how important it is. And I don't think anybody, well, I can't speak for everybody on this council, feels that a media specialist just checks books in and out. I mean, I knew that there was an awful lot more to that, but I appreciate, like Ms. Duggan and I'm sorry, I don't know, Ms. Ricky and everybody, even elaborating more on how the importance of this position. And I totally forgot about, yeah, for 2 years, children weren't allowed to, check out books. So how sad was that? But again, and as Mayor Beth indicated, it's not our job to go to the Board of Ed and say, you must use this money for this position or that or whatever. But I do feel confident by the way that the budget interactions have happened this particular cycle, that hopefully we will be able to meet your objectives.
Thank you. Counselor Nagel?
Thank you. I'd like to just offer my remarks that are in support of what previous people have said about the role of on this council, about the role of the council, which the public is not aware of or tend to forget, where we are very cognizant of what our powers are and what our powers aren't. Both the specialist as well as the library positions were not brought forth to us. And even to our town manager when we in the town in terms of reinstating them. Even though I have at library board meetings as a liaison, I've heard their concern about it. So it's difficult to move on something that has not been brought forth and that is supposedly the heads of departments, the superintendent of schools has agreed to or has come to an understanding about recently. So we only have certain powers, for lack of a better word, that we can handle. And being told some of them at the last minute doesn't give us time to think thoroughly over what we can do and not do. But what comes to us, and to me at any rate, first and foremost, is that we do not have the power to tell the superintendent of schools how to spend money. We can only allot an amount based upon what has been put forth to us and what we have been given by their budget. We can't necessarily do the same for any other department unless something has come forward to us either through the public or through the circumstances that have arrived over a period of time. I think when we go on to adjustments to the budget, there are things that have come to members of the budget that make us know that monies are needed in certain areas where they may not have been when we started our deliberations or even like a week or two ago, if I'm not mistaken. And well, I fully support the different positions, both the library foremost and the specialists. As a former teacher, I know also how important they are, that it is something that it's not the responsibility of the council to tell different departments what to put forth in their budget or not put forth in their budget. They make that determination as to how they're going to use the money. We can only allot the amount and they make the choice. People may like it or not like it. And I know I'm rehashing what others have said before here for the most part on the council. So I will leave it at that.
Thank you, Counselor Nagel. Counselor Menke?
I would like to thank those people who are in the room here and those that called in to make us aware of this issue. I want to make it clear, we don't eliminate any positions. This is a superintendent's decision to staff her department or her schools the way she feels fit. I like Councilor Donahue with a budget of $79 million. I'm sure she can find money for this. This is important. There was a time when I was a non-reader when I was in 5th grade, and a teacher took the time to give me a book and told me to read the book and talk to me about it, and I became a reader of history ever after because she took the time. So I understand the importance of books and libraries. But again, this is a Board of Ed issue. They're the ones that finance with this, or they're the ones that would fill this position, or how they choose to fill this position is up to the superintendent, not to the council.
Thank you, Counselor Menke. Deputy Mayor Pacheco?
Yeah, I just want to make it a little bit of a clarification when, we're saying, well, Board of Education didn't bring it forward, or, we didn't hear from them, they thought this position, whatever. I want to say that I believe that the superintendent, knowing that it was such a tight year, a very tight year, had to look within her array of responsibility, whatever, to try and meet the request of the town manager and the financial situation to come up with a budget that really was not excessive and that she could live with and that the Board of Ed could live with. So it's not saying, well, she didn't come to it, to us with this position, so she's not going to get it. No, she had to craft a budget and look at everything on her plate and say, okay, how can I present to the town council a budget that would be reasonable but yet support the needs? So at the point of presentation, this is the way the Board of Ed and the superintendent felt that they could best, continue to meet the needs of the students, whatever. But now, having heard your concerns and the concerns by members of the Board of Education, I'm sure she will be able to now say, okay, well, maybe that wasn't the place to cut. Maybe we can do something else or find other resources. So that's how this whole thing kind of happened.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other council comment? All right, we will continue on. The first item under consideration of old business is the budget memorandum of understanding between the Board of Education and the Town Council for fiscal year 2022-23. Counselors, we discussed this at our last meeting, as you know. Just to give a history on this, in terms of the amounts, so people understand, the Board of Education chairman approached myself with the idea of, after consulting with the superintendent, they thought that the health benefits fund that they got a projection of $476,000. That money does not come into the budget until September, so it would be for next fiscal year. They came to me and said, would you increase us to the amount we need, which was the $592,113, if we agreed to sign over that $476,000 from health benefits to the town? After thinking about it and consulting, I recognize that wouldn't help us in terms of the budget for this year and the mill rate. So I asked the Board of Ed chairman to find out from the superintendent if they were anticipating enough of a surplus by the end of this year that they could agree to turn that $476,000 over prior to the end of this fiscal year. By doing so, it counts as additional revenue and therefore can offset the budget for next year and wouldn't affect the mill rate by that $476,000. He brought that proposal back and came forward and said that the superintendent was on board with that and that they would consider it at the Board of Ed table. They did take a vote at their last meeting. It did pass unanimously. So we have before us that MOU that the Board of Education has already agreed to. It allows for the $476,000 of surplus to be turned over, $476,600 to the general fund. Let me just double check that. Yeah, to be turned over to the general fund before June 30th this fiscal year. You'll see it in our adjustments later on, and then it would be counted as revenue to offset the expenditure of the $592,113, which was requested by them to maintain current staff levels. Would someone go ahead and read the resolution into the record? Counselor Page?
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby authorizes Keith Chapman, Town Manager, to execute a memorandum of understanding, MOU, between the Town of Newington and the Board of Education regarding the return of $476,600 to the general fund by the Board of Education no later than June 30, 2022. The Town Council would restore $592,113 to the education budget for fiscal year 2022-2023. This MOU shall be relative to the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget only. A copy of the fully executed MOU shall be attached to this resolution.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion by counselors? Counselor Mankey?
Yeah, we just would say, I appreciate the cooperation between the leadership of the council and leadership of the Board of Ed to try to make the budget as whole as possible. And I think this is a creative way to do it, but it accomplishes what's needed to prevent any layoffs. I think it's commendable that we got together and we were able to get this done.
Thank you, Counselor Menke. Any other council comment? I would just like to say also, thank you to Board of Ed Chair, Bruce Fletcher, as well as Superintendent of Schools for, they, quite frankly, before we had even kind of begun our real nitty gritty working on the budget, had come forward with the idea of this amount and the health benefits and kind of open the dialogue. So I would really like to say thank you to them for coming to the table and then for allowing the dialogue between the two bodies and working on this collaboratively. I'm very appreciative of the collaboration that went into this agreement. Anyone else? Okay. We have the motion on the table. We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Awesome.
It is, I agree. Next item this evening is adjustments to the tentative budget fiscal year 2022, 2023. We will start with Counselor Menke, if you would go through, and we'll, for the counselors that are newer to this process, typically the majority or minority leader, whoever's first, will go through each motion, bring it forward with an explanation, and then we'll take a vote on each. And then we would open it up to whoever else has other adjustments. And then after we finalize that, we'll have our adjusted mill rate, and we'd be able to set that later on. Okay. Counselor Menke, if you'd like to start.
Our first adjustment is item 101208217. Description is a grant writer. We're proposing to add $30,000 to the budget to cover the cost of the grant writer. What's wrong?
I was just looking for copies. They're usually on our table, I thought, but that's
We
fine.
could make copies of these if you just take a quick second.
Just so that everybody at the table can
I'm
have
sorry, I
them in
probably
front of
should've-
them. Thank you.
Probably should have printed them out.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. I really
Thank you
felt
very
like
much.
You listened, and I really truly appreciate that. Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Mitch,
We're just taking a quick pause for the members of the public to make sure that all of the counselors have a copy of the adjustments that are recommended.
Quick pause.
Do you have yours?
No.
Oh, it's not. Can
Can we just call it a quick recess?
you want to call a recess to go over? Okay. We're gonna call a quick recess so that we can just have a few minutes to get our adjustments together and make sure that everybody has the same information. So right now it is 7:46. We'll be back by 7:56 at the latest. Sounds good? All right, we stand in recess at 7:46. Thank you. We need to just make sure we mute the mics, which James is not in the room to do.
Do you have Janet's phone?
Everybody's mic on, is that on? Are the mics on?
James, we just called a recess for 10 minutes. James, are the officials muted? I just want to make sure.
I had to find out that there was, that Keith is resigning.
I got a text.
All right, folks, we are back in session at 8:01. I apologize, there was a little more delay. We were just getting copies and making sure everyone had the information necessary to move forward with our adjustments. We do sometimes have last minute changes. We wanted to make sure everything was all set. So let me just flip over my screen here. We are currently in the agenda item of proposed budget adjustments. And Councilor Mackey, the floor is yours.
Okay, just to recap. I guess item number 10120, account number 8217, grant writer. We're proposing we put $30,000 back into the budget for grant writer. Currently, the grant writer was in the budget, in last year's budget, for $24,000. Certainly over the course of the last, I think it's been 10 months, not quite a year, I don't believe.
Yeah.
About 10 months, I believe. The grant writers certainly earned their keep. Just a couple weeks ago, we got a grant for $45,000 for the fire department. So certainly, this is certainly this is working. Yeah.
Yeah, I just realized that our mic was not on, so I just turned it on. I'm hoping.
Ours was, if that.
Okay.
I think you were getting caught.
All right, so we have a motion on the table for adding the grant writer for $30,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Counselor Donahue. Just in case people out there didn't hear, because one of the mics was not on, this is a position that is currently in the budget. Well, no, I take that back. It wasn't in the budget last year. It was added during the fiscal year.
Right.
The person has more than earned their the amount that we are paying them, and so we are looking to continue with that grant writer, and it was not in the budget that was brought forward. We want to make sure and add that. That is the motion on the table. We have a second. Is there any other discussion on this item?
Just a question there.
Counselor Page?
Or Counselor Mackey, is the 30K what it was last year, or is that
No, last year we paid 24,000.
Because it was prorated.
It was prorated. We did it in the middle of the year. It was I think it was August, I believe, or July or August. We had already started the process.
Okay, that's all.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, it's customary for budget adjustments that we do a roll call vote, so we'll go to a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo, Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Rada,
Yes.
Mayor Dobuno.
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Counselor Camillo, are you there?
I will text him.
His camera's off. I don't know if he's.
Yeah. Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Camillo absent. He must have stepped away or is having technical difficulties, not sure. You can continue, Counselor Mankey.
Item number 10120, account number 8101, Assistant Town Manager. We're proposing to increase the budget by $160,000 for the position of a town manager. Assistant Town Manager, I'm sorry.
Is there a second? Second by Counselor Nagel. Any further discussion on this one?
Can I just clarify, Mayor?
Yes.
The 160,000 is, I know there's a range
Mhm.
for any position. That number, I think on the face of it, to anyone seeing it from the outside might think, gee, that's a high number for an assistant town manager. That's like a mid-range salary plus benefits.
Plus benefits, right.
Medical and the whole bit.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, and just so when we look at the job description that's in our classification pay range right now, it's an A12 position. And round figures, the salary range, when I looked at it, was between 83 and change and 153 and change. So this allows for we don't know what level of experience who will apply, so it allows for a salary and benefits to be considered.
So theoretically, if you're in the mid-range, say 110, 120 plus benefits, you might bump up close to 160.
Right.
So we're allowing some.
We're allowing
Absolutely.
case,
To
right?
allow that to happen.
Right.
Or if we found someone super experienced and they could demand a higher
We
salary.
can cover that too then.
Okay.
We would be able to manage
All
it,
right.
right?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comment on this motion? Counselor Nagel?
And just for clarification, this is a position that we had on for the last a budget. And when the town manager brought forth his budget this time, it was not included. So we're just not creating a new position, so to speak. It was not filled partly because of the pandemic, and it's just putting the funds back in for something that already exists.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Rada,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buno,
Yes.
9-0.
All right, thank you.
Continuing on, item number 14000, account 8601, Board of Education. We're proposing to increase the line item for this budget by $592,113. And this is per the memorandum of understanding that we just passed a moment ago.
Is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Rada. Just for Counselor's understanding and the general public, the next motion works in conjunction with this to accomplish the MOU. It's a general fund balance transfer of 476. So the revenue that comes into the general fund would then be expended toward this item. So it looks like we're increasing a general fund balance expenditure, but it's really a revenue coming in. So it just to explain that it's the offset related to the MOU. So the first action item is, as Counselor Menke said, to increase the Board of Ed budget by the 592,113. Any other questions or discussion? All right, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Rada,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buno,
Yes.
9-0.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Then with it, next one is we would increase the money from the general, taking out of the general fund by $476,000. And this again is the surplus that goes back and then comes back out of the general fund.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Rada. Any further discussion on this? All right, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Rada,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buno,
Yes.
9-0.
Passes unanimously. Counselor Menke?
Next, item 10450, account 5301, building permit revenue. We would increase the building permit revenue. Decrease a bit, no, increase it,
Decrease.
decrease.
Right. Yeah, decrease the budget by
Decrease.
75,000?
Yep.
Is that what your intention is?
We're increasing the revenue and decreasing the consultant. And Janet,
Oh,
are
yeah.
you on?
So you're decreasing the
I'm
budget by
here.
7.
I'm here.
Should this be an we're
It's
increasing. it.
showing as a decrease in the first column you're showing because it's decreasing your appropriation because it's offsetting with
Okay,
the
I
revenue.
got you. Okay.
But it is an increase technically in the revenue that we're projecting.
So these are both, we're increasing the fees in a sense, than hiring somebody part-time.
So the next two, there's two motions and they offset each
The two
other.
motions offset each other, right?
Okay.
So can we take them both together?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think you have to do
Separate, okay.
each separate, yeah. All right, so we have a motion on the table to decrease the building permit revenue by $75,000.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Budraco. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to roll call vote.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Rada,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buno,
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you.
Item number 10450, account 8103, building outside consultant. You would increase the budget by 75,000. Again, this would be to hire consultants to come and help us in this department. And the cost is offset by the increase in the fees.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Budraco. Any further discussion? Counselor Page?
Just a question because of my ignorance about how this works. I know I've raised a couple of these terms that have come up as when we've had the permanent building commission discussion. This consultant, would this, and I know Counselor Budraco raised these good questions recently too. Would this serve the function as we see it of like a commissioning agent or a clerk of the works, or is this a separate function this person serves?
So this is the building department. So these are outside buildings who come in with who file permits to build in addition to your house. So it has nothing to do with town property.
Okay.
Janet, do you want to clarify that at all?
Yeah, I can clarify a little bit. So as we're seeing the economic development continue, you need building inspectors to do those inspections. And with the amount that we're going to have, that's why we're getting the fees. We also need somebody on the other side to also be able to do the inspections, the outside inspections, to give them that they're clear during the building process.
So it's private.
Yes, it's either, you know, it's residential, commercial.
It's not town buildings.
Correct.
Okay, and so we know enough collectively with the wisdom of our building department that that number should sufficiently cover that increased activity.
That's the recommending, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other council comment or question? We'll move to roll call vote.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Rada,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you.
Again, item 10420, account 5704, P and Z revenue. We'd increase that or decrease that by 17,000. And it goes hand in hand with the one below it, where we're going to increase part-time by 17,000 to help in the office.
So we're using 17,000 of the revenue.
Or the revenue
offset
to offset
part-time.
costs, offset the part-time, correct.
Okay, so we'll vote on the decrease.
Still,
of
yeah,
the
still
revenue first.
separate, you're right, but it's a budget neutral, if you will.
Yep. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Nagel. Any discussion on this one? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Rada,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you.
Item 10420, account 8103, P and Z part-time, we would increase it by 17,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Donahue. Any discussion on this? I've already covered it, right?
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to roll call vote.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco, Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Rada,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you.
Item 103, hang on.
5-2.
52. 52, account 8220, reduce solid waste by $54,670. This reflects the new contract we signed with the new solid waste provider. It came in $54,670 less than we anticipated, so we can reduce that amount.
Second.
Second by Counselor Rada. Any further discussion on this? Counselor Page?
Thanks, Mayor. I would just like to say that I think, let me back up, the bulk waste, I think it's called, there may be another term for it where we have a company go house to house and pick up a couch or pick up a fridge or pick up other items. I know that was taken out of the budget last time or the time before. I disagree with that decision. And I think the money that we're saving on this solid waste proposal we're in favor of could be used to reinstate the bulk pickup. My concern is that, and I don't have hard data, it's only anecdotal, that we're at increased risk for illegal dumping and for some blight situations with items either thrown off the back of a pickup or in areas. And I know when I went around town campaigning last year, I spoke to a few folks near park areas or dead end areas where there might be wooded sections. There were folks who expressed concern about more items being left in the middle of the night and then they have to clean it up. So I'm just making the statement, if not tonight, I think we should look at that and revisit that because I'm concerned in the long haul that we're going to have more problems with items like blight and illegal dumping. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not against this. I think it's an opportunity that we could be missing.
Okay, so you have to vote on the resolution that's on the
I
table.
understand.
But if you did want to raise your own resolution, after, you are certainly welcome to do that. I know that one of the reasons we looked at changing the bulk pickup just historically was, quite frankly, there was some abuse of it going on. And I know the average resident, like myself, I might use it once a year and it was not a big deal. But I know of a few instances where people were having their friend bring, 22 tires into town and using our bulk pickup because it was free here versus using, paying in their own town or paying for, to take care of that in their own town. So there were some issues that were raised. The cost was going up because of that. So that was why we had looked at it.
Okay.
And when we compared to other towns, the fees and the structure of it was very comparable to other towns. We had a lot of data from other towns that I'm sure we could, Mr. Hillman could probably provide to you because I know they have that. We had already compiled it, so we can get that information for sure if you'd like it.
All right, thanks. Fair
Sure.
enough. Thank you.
Any other council comment or question on this one? So we have the motion, we have a second, reducing the solid waste. All right, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Rada,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes.
9-0.
The next item is item 31110, account 88908, historic properties. We would increase the budget by $50,000 to put in the historic properties account. That's used for upkeep or any projects that one of the historical properties in town might need.
Second. All right, seconded by Counselor Draco. It's a passion of hers, I know. Any other discussion on this item?
Yes, Mayor?
Just a
Yes,
question.
go ahead, Counselor
Yeah,
Rada.
I would just like clarification. I was going back and looking through the proposed budget and I think $500 was allotted. And now we're requesting 50,000.
Mhm.
Can I get some clarification, either from Janet or from
Yep.
one of the other counselors as to why the increase? I have a
Yep.
love of history and we want to preserve what's here in our community, but I would just like clarification about this.
Well, historically, since I've been on the council, it was 500 and I'm there, what the heck? I mean, you can't even get the lawn mowed for the summer
Right,
season for
right.
$500. So I think last year we took a look at this and we bumped it up. And a lot of this had to do, it's Newington's 150th anniversary. We don't, as a town, and I've said this publicly before, and I'm going to say it again, we do a terrible job of looking after our historic.
I agree.
And our history. So given the budget situation that we're in and the economy and whatever, we certainly can't increase it to the level where it should be. But if we just kept putting $500, it shows to me, and it shows to people in general that Newington doesn't care at all about its historical properties. And I don't think it's not that we care, but we also have a lot of other facilities. But this is a statement that, first of all, we recognize we have historical properties.
Make sure
We've
you're
got
with the
to
mic, just close up to the mic, I'm sorry.
We've got to maintain them. But also what's exciting this year is because of our grant writer that we have now, she's been in contact with, oh gosh, I forget the acronyms, whatever. CHIPA, yeah. CHIPA, whatever. That there are opportunities for us to get grants that will help us, like, put a new roof in, or siding, or signage, or get a historical loop going, whatever. But many of the grants require some kind of, well, first of all, a commitment from the town, show us that you really mean it, and some matching funds. So this will allow us to pursue some of those grant opportunities.
Okay, no, makes perfect sense. I am all for that.
This is Janet. I just want to add one thing to this. You're talking about two different accounts when you talk about the $500. The $500 is in an operational account, and the $50,000 that you're talking now is going to go into your CIP account, which rolls over from year to year.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that clarification.
No problem.
I just point out that in the budget 21-22, it's $50,000 for historical properties.
Okay, I was trying to find where it was.
Because it's in the CIP, right?
It's in
You're
the
probably looking at
it's
the
on
other account.
it's on the CIP book, so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Nagel?
having served on the Historical Society for over 15 years, so I know that side of it in terms of historical properties, and having been on the council off and on, that $500 amount was just like a placeholder, and to say we care. But indeed, repairs were done on finding funds from other places to fund different projects. This makes a statement, not only in terms long overdue with it, we do more than just on a superficial way support the maintenance of our historical properties, but it puts an investment into them that is there. That means we don't just talk about it, that we really mean to do what the town really means to do, what it says it's going to do, and that wouldn't be a scrambling as to something has happened, will happen to older buildings that needs to be repaired, that indeed there are funds there to handle it, or indeed to in part to start to match grants, which was mentioned, that are now available with our wonderful grant person that we have decided to continue with. So it's important, as it has been with past councils and so on, in terms of preserving open space, that indeed that is important, as well as this, as well as we and other councils have done in terms of advancing the economy in town as well, education within the confines that we have the funds for. This too is another thing that is very important and needs to be considered a valuable part of our culture as a town, as indeed the other elements I've mentioned, and some that I haven't.
Okay, thank you. Any other council comment or question? All right, hearing none, we'll move to roll call vote.
Counselor Braverman. Deputy Mayor Budraco.
Here.
Yes.
Here.
Counselor Camillo.
Here.
Counselor Donahue.
Hold on. Counselor Camillo, is that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Thank you.
What Gail said.
Counselor Donahue.
I'm totally confused how to answer now, but I'll go yes.
Counselor Mankey.
Yes.
Counselor Nagel.
Yes.
Counselor Page.
Yes.
Counselor Rada.
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
Counselor Braverman.
Yes.
All right,
9-0.
thank you. Looks like we have two more.
Yep, working on it. Item 30310. Account 88235, matching grant funds. We would recommend increasing this to 3,500. It was in the budget. 350. I can't see with my glasses. I can't see without my glasses. I should have put this in big print.
Where's that coming from? Is that Counselor Braverman?
Camilla.
Oh, Camilla? He's silenced.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Originally it was in the budget for 225,000. 225,000. It was originally in there for. Janet had asked we increase it by 100,000 because we have so many grants coming due that we have a matching component of the grants. So if we get a grant for $10,000, we may have to pony up $2,000. So we originally were proposing to go up to 100,000, but we recently got a rather larger grant that has a matching component of $250,000. So we need to increase it even more so. So we would recommend increasing it to $350,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Rada. So as you alluded to, the EOC grant that we received it would be a $1 million grant, but it requires us to put up
$250,000,
which
to accept to do our part of it.
Okay.
So you spend $250,000 to get $1 million in a sense.
Right. So we needed other funds in there as well. Janet, is there anything you wanted to add to the description of this?
No, I think you covered almost anything. I just, wanted to make you aware is the reason why I was asking for the first 100,000 is because Gary Furstenberg, our town engineer, is like, they won't give him any more grants until he finishes what he has. And we've got to keep those in the pipeline and moving, which means we need our matches to kind of hire people to do the design work, which the grant doesn't cover.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Page?
Just the EOC you referenced, Mayor, is that
Emergency Operations Center.
right? And I
Mhm.
know that the town manager supplied some information about that, and we don't know yet where that would be located.
Correct.
Because we were hustling to try to secure that grant,
Mhm.
and we haven't just ironed out all those details yet.
That's right.
But that, just for the public's information, very briefly, the purpose of the EOC is to provide a place for operations in response to disasters or other public emergencies.
Any emergency
Like
situation in
Megan
town, right?
Mankey would operate with her staff and other folks to coordinate a response.
Right.
Okay.
And I can just point out that receiving this grant is pretty prestigious. There's only 2 given out in the state, us being one of them. So the staff here did really well to write the grant and then get it approved. A lot of the legwork hadn't been done yet because there's no sense worrying about it until you actually got the money to spend. So there's no sense making all the plans. So that'll happen in the next couple of months, where to put it and how to tie it into all the systems. But it is something the town needs, and we don't have that now.
Well, they must have written it sufficiently to secure the grant.
Right. Mhm.
So they met those criteria.
It was pretty
Right.
rare that these grants are given out, that we received $1 million. That's pretty impressive.
And to show the importance of it, Thursday, Senator Blumenthal was here in town to kind of announce it.
All right, I just wanted some clarification. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Absolutely. Any other council question or comment? All right, we'll move to the roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Rada,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes.
9-0.
And the last one is in CIP, the proposed Transit Village Design District Architectural Guidelines, Cedar Street. We would recommend we reduce that by $100,000.
Is there a second? Second by Counselor Donahue. And
Correct.
discussion on this?
Just the rationale, just so everybody knows that in the budget or in CIP, we had 3 actual studies being done in this year. The town center, the Newington Junction, Cedar Street. So it's really, we recognize it's hard to do all 3 in 1 year. So we would do 2 this year and then do the next one the next year.
Okay. And you did consult, or someone did consult with the town planner on this?
Right.
To make sure that she was kind of, that this made sense in terms of the hierarchy of the 3 that she had proposed?
I mean, naturally, she would like everything done at once, but the reality is that even as outside consultants would be doing this, it still takes an awful lot of staff time to kind of coordinate, get the tours, this, that, and the other thing. As long as this is gonna get done eventually, she's fine with it, and she's fine in terms of setting the priority, because she's also gonna be doing, if you see in the CIP, a complete overhaul of the zoning regulations. That's gonna take an amount of time. Town center, it's already there. There's stuff happening. We've got to make sure that, the Northwood Plaza is taken care of, key manufacturing, how the center should evolve. That's an immediate need. It's something there, it's something functioning. Newington Junction is there, it's functioning, we've got to get it going. If any of those could possibly be delayed for 12 months or a year, it would be the Cedar Street, because maybe we'll have a clearer idea of, when the funding's going to come for a train station.
Okay. Thank you. Counselor Page?
Correct me if I'm wrong. In the original proposal from the town manager, was there not 50,000 proposed for Newington Junction and 100,000 for Cedar?
Correct.
And the money allocated or proposed would be for architectural design. Is that right?
That's what it's here, architectural design guidelines for Cedar Street.
Right, and if you go back, and many of you know the history better than I do, so you can fill in the blanks that I'm gonna miss. Back when the original proposal was engaged with around 2019 by obviously the previous council, there were recommendations for architectural design then, and I know Councilor Camillo's referenced this before, I believe there were $10,000 spent on an initial study. I believe there were monies not allocated, no monies allocated for the design in 2019. My concern is a couple-fold. One is we keep talking about this and we keep saying we can do it another year. And as you know where I stand on this, I gave a little presentation a month or two ago on this. I think there's great urgency. I think this is great opportunity, the Cedar Street train station, for so many reasons, development, and mass transit being, I believe, an important piece of our puzzle, both locally as well as regionally and countrywide, worldwide. But enough of that. I think that it's appropriate to keep the money if people still want to look at the feasibility of Newington Junction. But I think it's not appropriate to then withdraw money from, arguably, from any voice I've heard or any written document I've read since 2019 about the much greater viability of the Cedar Street station over Newington Junction. I know we're rehashing an old argument. It's just my position that I think this is money, $100,000 in the scope of potentially millions and millions of dollars of revenue coming to our town and, yes, our region, I think is money well spent. So I would urge us to reconsider this and keep the 100,000 there. And I think it will benefit our town immensely. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Page. Councilor Donahue?
I mean, the state basically told us that, you know, there's no vision for a train station on Cedar Street or in Newington at any point, you know, in the near future. And I think if we spend $100,000 this year, then, you know, a council 10 years from now, you know, we could have flying cars by then. I don't know. So I don't think we, you know, should invest in something that the state has no interest in at this point in time. And just keep our, you know, we know that the center of town, we have to improve. And we know that the Newington Junction area, with some of the state stuff coming in, we have to be prepared to do something down there. So I'm just saying that, you know, we didn't say we're never going to do it. And, you know, we have done it. We did it 7 years ago. And with the state having no interest in a, I should say train platform, but we keep saying train station, but it's not, yeah, it's a platform, right? We don't want to get people excited. You know, I think we should just, you know, take this money out this year, and if the state shows an interest next year, then we put it back in.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Mankey?
I think this really reflects the fact that doing 3 studies in 1 year is problematic. And it would take a lot of, as Councilor Draco said, it would take a lot of staff time, especially on top of the other duties that the town planner has. So I'm in favor of the do 2 this year and do 1 next year approach.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, we'll go to a roll call vote, please.
Councilor President?
Yes.
Yes. Deputy Mayor Budraco?
Yes.
Councilor Camillo?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Mankey?
Yes.
Councilor Nagel?
Yes.
Councilor Page?
No.
Councilor Retta?
No.
Mayor Del Vito?
Yes.
7-2.
All right, motion passes 7-2. All right, and
And you just really thought you were done. We have one more, it's just a change to the CIP. Under where it says demolition of fire storage building on Chapman Street, we would propose we just make it, remove demolition of and put fire storage building on Chapman Street for $185,000. Doesn't change the amount. It just changes the wording of the line item.
And I'm just asking for a point of clarification. Is that something that we do in this, or we have the adoption of the long-range capital improvement plan later? Would we do it then? Or does it matter? Janet, are you there?
I am still here. You would do it now.
I know.
We don't go into detail when you adopt the long range one, so you can do it now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Donahue. Any further discussion?
Could you just clarify, please?
Yeah.
Our thinking is that down the road, we may decide that maybe demolition is not the thing to do with that building. Maybe restoration is what to do with the building. If we have a line item that says demolition, you can't use that money then for restoration, or you couldn't use it for something else.
Right.
With that building.
Okay.
And so we just want to kind of cover our bases. This way, if you have fire storage building on Chapman Street, you can use it for demolition, or you can use it for restoration, or you can use it for whatever purpose you want for that building.
No, I agree, because I have it's close to my heart, very personal interest in that building, in that area, so.
Right, and that's
Thanks for the
kind of, it just keeps our options open. If we say we're gonna demo it, then that's what
Yeah.
it's there for.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Counselor Page?
Is to that point, and I hadn't thought of it until you mentioned it, Councilor Mankey, which is with this authorization, are you saying that down the road, should the town manager or this body desire to take that building down, because I know there's a lot of problems with it, that there is carte blanche to do that, or we're saying we still reserve the right to have that discussion before that decision is made, and if the public to have some input as a potentially important historic resource?
This is only a line item in CIP, so it doesn't authorize, I don't believe, anything happen in that building unless we would approve it. I would assume this would come back to the council. I would hope it'd come back to the council. Just as in any work around any public building, if we were to sell a public building or tear one down, it should have to come.
Well, especially when this has historical significance.
Right, because I think the public would like to, sorry, I just think to Councilor Mankey's point, I think it's a very good point that the town should have a say, at least a discussion about that. And it may be that we take it down and we do something else with it, but it has the potential historic value. And then I don't know if there's any relationship between what is done with that property and what is done now or down the road with any expansion of that existing functioning firehouse three.
Company three.
Company three.
And whatever their needs might be in the near future. Is there any connection there between those two?
I think it's
properties,
too
or-
early to know that right now.
Okay, all right.
But I think this came up during our budget discussion on that, I think it was on that Saturday that we were all here
Right.
all morning.
Yep.
And some of us were surprised to hear the demolition talk. So this would just allow us, as time goes on and the proposals come forward, if the town manager looks at it and says, you know, yes, we need to demolish it, then we can do that. If he comes forward and says, we might be able to save it and use it in this capacity, it gives us the opportunity to do either. If we just change the wording, it
It's our-
really is
it's
just a
flexibility.
procedural,
Okay.
financial kind of tidying up.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Counselor Nagel?
It gives us an option, whereas how it's written now, there is not much of an option.
Mhm.
So it opens up the possibilities, no matter what your opinion is at the present about the value of that particular building. So I concur that it's more beneficial, and the decision as to what to do down the line is a topic to be discussed at another time. At least there are funds there to do whatever we all deem to be appropriate in the very near or far future.
Anyone else? All right, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Draco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Rada,
Yes.
Mayor Dobuno,
Yes.
9-0.
Anything else, Counselor Mankey?
That is all I have.
All right, I would like to thank our majority leader, Counselor Mankey, for all of his hard work. I know, the majority brought forward these motions and we worked on them together collaboratively, but I appreciate the lead you took on working with the finance director to make sure we had the wording and the accounts and the amounts and everything ready for tonight. So thank you,
I
Counselor
would just
Mankey.
thank our finance director for explaining to me for the 108th time of where the parentheses go, because it's all confusing to me, but I appreciate her efforts to educate me year after year, and you think I'd get it right. one of
Stick
these
with
years.
history and not
Stick
accounting.
with history and not accounting, yeah. But I appreciate her efforts.
All right, so the majority is done with theirs. Counselor Page, do you have any motions you'd like to bring forward at this time?
No, not necessarily. We just had some clarifying questions.
Okay.
Okay. The assistant facilities director position,
Mhm.
can we get either from this body or from Janet or both clarification on the dollar amount for that?
Janet, are you there?
I am here, and Counselor Page, I believe I sent you something on that. Let me pull up my emails. And just so we're clear, that position has already been filled.
So that's already been in the budget.
Yeah, that was this year. We did a budget transfer. And that position hasn't, so let me just find it here. there is 100,000 is currently allocated under facilities management for the assistant facility director position.
And given, and this is a learning curve for me, so everybody bear with me, but given the square footage that the facilities director currently manages and sort of best practices or the standards that exist in comparable towns, it's felt that an assistant facilities director is needed as opposed to hiring out per project a person to manage those tasks.
Yeah, the town manager had brought this forward based on the pure size and scope of our facilities and not just our town building, well, they're all town buildings, but like when you think of our main town campus buildings versus our outlying buildings, that it was an absolute need, yes.
Okay. All right.
He had brought that forward during our budget deliberations, I know.
Okay. Thank you. And yes, you did, Janet. Thank you. I just, like Councilor Mankey said with accounting, I'm not so great at this and I just need clarification. And then just a couple of other points of clarification. I don't know if Councilor Rada has anything else, but it looks like there's no more monies being allocated for the deputy police chief position. That was a 6-month temporary position, correct?
Correct.
Okay, just for clarification. And we can certainly revisit that down the road if that's what's needed as articulated by Chief Clark and so forth. And then the last clarification or to confirm is, I'm just looking at the email from Janet, just people are curious. And no, that was it. Actually, that was it. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, I, raised during our response to public participation, the Lucy Evans Wells Library, the need for teen librarian. I will table that for later discussion, but want it raised, and I wanted to make folks aware that, we're cognizant of the need and the importance and the stress that places on the current staff, not having that position filled at this point in time.
Just one other quick thing.
Councilor Page.
And this is just to revisit and clarify. You've already clarified this privately with me, so I appreciate it. But the 476,000 to the general fund balance is not, as I think has been done in past by everybody, minorities, majorities, and so forth, to necessarily increase the fund balance relative to what we're required to do for our bonding and so forth. It's merely an accounting move at this point. Is that correct? We're not, because in past years, I believe, as I've sort of learned, that parties will, for good reason, many times increase their fund balance because there are bonding requirements for that and so forth.
So you keep Janet, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we want to keep our fund balance at least, is it 10%?
Well, but we try to keep it 12, but 10, I think is what the policy is. Yes.
10's too slim. Got it.
Yep.
Okay. But this 476 to the fund balance is not for that purpose. It's merely an accounting to
accommodate the MOU,
It's
the
just-
increased
it's just a
revenue.
pass-through.
It's a pass-through. Okay, thank you.
The
That was
money
a
comes
perfect way
from,
to put it.
it comes into the general, we just take it back out. We just have to have a mechanism to transfer it.
Perfect. I just wanted to make that clear to anybody who cares and is listening. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other council comment or question before we move on? All right, next item this evening is adoption of operating budget for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. I'm sorry, I'm just in my packet to make sure I'm on the right item. 5C. All right.
James should have for you the resolutions for that based on the changes you just made.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
What efficiency.
Thank you. Who's gonna do it? He might be already.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I don't do well with numbers, so.
All right. Yes, so it really is resolved, be it further resolved, be it further resolved. So there's 3 pages to start with. Yep. You want to do it? Okay. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Resolved that the following general fund appropriations of the town of Newington are hereby adopted for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023, in accordance with section 805 of the charter of the town of Newington. Appropriations, town government operations, general government, $6,431,049. Public safety, $9,789,718. Public works, $5,563,000, $563,359. Community planning and development, $662,161. Public health, $209,305. Community services, $1,113,974. Public library, $1,782,256. Parks and recreation, $1,899,432. Insurance miscellaneous, $11,580,349. And what's the second one?
That's the total.
Oh, for total, of $39,031,603. Debt service, $2,528,070. Metropolitan District, $4,886,175. Capital improvements, $7,547,415. Equipment reserve, $1,310,424. Employee leave liability reserve fund, $59,600. Board of Education, $78,660,124. Total appropriations, $134,023,411. Be it further resolved that in accordance with section 805 of the charter of the town of Newington, the following general fund estimated revenues be raised to meet these appropriations. Estimated revenues, current taxes, $98,962,850. Prorated taxes, $1,130,637. Prior year's taxes, $400,000. Interest and liens, $350,000. Motor vehicle tax, $8,540,000. Payment in lieu of taxes, $3,760,127. Assessments, $16,248. Licenses and permits, $359,500. Rentals, $100,000. Investment income, $100,000. Fines, $22,000. Charges for services, $651,600. Refunds and reimbursements, $22,000. Sale of town property, $5,020. State aid, $16,375,535. Federal aid, $9,000. Miscellaneous, $60,000. Transfers from other funds, $182,894. Total, $131,047,411. General fund balance applied, $2,976,000. Total estimated revenues and applied fund balance, $134,023,411. Be it further resolved that the clerk is hereby instructed to place the accompanying general fund budget summary on the record of this meeting to illustrate the above appropriations and revenue estimates. Be it further resolved that the following budget is hereby adopted for the public school capital improvement projects reserve fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. Appropriations, district-wide HVAC, $60,000. Painting, $30,000. Carpeting, $30,000. District-wide playground renovations, $50,000. District-wide technology infrastructure, $750,000. District-wide blacktop paving, $50,000. District-wide vehicles, $30,000. Total appropriations, $1 million. Estimated revenues, general fund appropriations, $125,000. Interest earnings, $2,000. Tuition receipts, $800,000. School rental receipts, $73,000. Total estimated revenues and applied fund balance, $1 million.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Menke. Any further discussion on this? Counselor Page?
Just a question, and Janet, be patient with me. I know I've asked before, just further clarification. With the pandemic and with funds coming from the feds that the town has received or will receive, that's not reflected, for example, under federal aid? Or are we saying we're not anticipating any more federal funds?
That federal aid that we're receiving is not into the general fund. This is to fund the general fund and CIP. The aid that we will get, that another $4 million we're actually going to be getting this June, goes into a different fund. It's the grant fund, and payments related to that grant go directly against that fund, not your operational.
Okay, thank you.
Good questions. All right. So we have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do a roll call for that, for the budget.
All right, counselors are requesting a roll
We
call.
might do for
All
the
right,
budget,
deal.
yeah, I think the budget.
I usually do it on the actual motions for the budget, but that's fine. We'll go ahead with the roll call. vote.
Is this a question?
No, it's fine. It's a request. It makes sense. Let's do it.
Counselor Braverman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco?
Yes.
Counselor Camillo?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Menke?
Yes.
Counselor Nagel?
Yes.
Counselor Page?
Yes.
Counselor Rada?
Yes.
Mayor Gilbina?
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you. All right, next up is the adoption of long-range capital improvement plan 2022, 2023 through 2026, 2027. We have a revised motion that was just handed out to us to reflect I believe nope, it's just a motion to make sure we have it. Got it. We don't have to reflect the change that we made earlier. It just automatically rolls into it.
Right.
Okay. All right, who would like to read this one? Counselor Donahue.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby adopts the Town of Newington Long Range Capital Improvement Plan 2022, 2023 through 2026, 2027. A final copy of which will be on file at the town clerk's office. Note, this vote is binding only for the funds committed for fiscal year 2022, 2023. The proposed funding for 2023, 2024 through 2026, 2027 is for planning purposes only and subject to change throughout future budget deliberations.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Nagel. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco?
Yes.
Counselor Camillo?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Menke?
Yes.
Counselor Nagel?
Yes.
Counselor Page?
Yes.
Counselor Rada?
Yes.
Mayor Gilbina?
Yes.
9-0.
All right, now the most important part of the evening, I think. Based on all of the changes we made just a few moments ago, we are going to set our mill rate for fiscal year 2022, 2023. This is the new motion that was just handed to us by James. Who would like to go ahead and read this?
I'll read.
Counselor Rada?
Resolved, in accordance with section 805 of the town charter of the town of Newington, the town council hereby fixes a tax rate of 38.47 mils for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023, which shall be levied on taxable real and personal properties and motor vehicles property in the town of Newington, listed on the October 1st, 2021 grand list, and said tax shall become due and payable in accordance with section 43-1 of the Newington Code of Ordinances. The town manager is hereby authorized to make out and sign the mill rate bill in accordance with this motion.
Thank you. Seconded by Counselor Nagel. Was that you? Counselor Donahue, I apologize.
My voice sounds like everybody.
Everybody, you're throwing your voice tonight. All right, so seconded by Counselor Donahue. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Okay, we'll go ahead with a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Budraco?
Yes.
Counselor Camillo?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Menke?
Yes.
Counselor Nagel?
Yes.
Counselor Page?
Yes.
Counselor Rada?
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
9-0. Thank you. Janet, can you do me a favor and just give us the breakdown of what this is in comparison to last year, percent, any decrease, it is a decrease. Can you just go ahead and give us the specifics?
Sure, I can tell you for total appropriations, so expense wise, it was an increase of almost $3.5 million or 2.7% over the prior year's budget. The estimated revenues from non-tax sources increased almost 2.5 million or 11.3%. The amount from the fund balance that we were using went up that 476,000. The amount that was raised by taxes increased 1.6 million for 1.1%. That's of course being offset by the fact that there was an increase in your net grand list of 2.5% or $68,652,798. Bottom line, your mill rate decreased 0.34 mils or 0.88%.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Janet.
No problem.
I would just like to say in general, now that we've set our mill rate, I want to send out my thanks. I can't even, I'm like almost at a loss of words for the thanks to our town manager, Keith Chapman, our finance director, Janet Murphy, who's on the call, and our entire town staff for the efforts that went into putting together a budget that was fiscally responsible. It looked at needs versus wants. It looked at knowing that the times that we're living in right now are so difficult. As Councilor Page mentioned earlier, the impacts of our economy right now overall, and that has hit even since this budget was brought in, even more so. And I think that there's just not enough gratitude from me to the town staff and our town manager for the efforts that went into bringing forward to this council for our deliberation, a very meaningful and a very responsible budget for us to then deliberate on and make some minor changes to. But there wasn't much to change given the incredible amount of work that went into this before it came to us. And I just want to say how thankful I am. I'm especially thankful that this is now our third year in a row that we've been able to decrease the mill rate. And I hope that that shows our taxpayers that this council is cognizant of the struggle that many of our taxpayers and residents are having. I know, we all feel it. We all feel how things are so much more expensive. Times are tough. And we also realize that we just can't continue to increase expenses and expect people to just pay more for it. We have to find other ways to do that. Our town manager has done an amazing job with our economic development in the last few years, which, has barely hit it's barely hitting now. And we'll see more of that as projects come to fruition over the next few years. So I feel like everybody needs to understand how much goes into this budget. This is months and months of work on the part of our entire staff. Each department works to bring forward a reasonable budget to the town manager for his consideration when he's putting together the final document to bring forward to us. So thank you to everyone that put in so many hours and so much time and effort in putting this budget together. And thank you to the entire council, because this was a very collaborative budget season, I feel like, not just among the 9 of us, but also with our Board of Education. I know there were some people tonight that were asking some things of us regarding positions and I'm hopeful and I'm very confident the Board of Education will find a way to fund the position that was mentioned earlier in my conversations with the chair. I think that is going to happen, and I will keep our fingers crossed for that and hope that the Board of Ed is able to do that. That is their job to do for sure. So, but I'm pleased that the superintendent and the Board of Ed chair came forward to begin kind of negotiating and figuring out a way to meet those staffing levels that they needed in conjunction with understanding our need to be cognizant of the impact on the taxpayer on our mill rate. So I think overall it was a very collaborative budget season, a very collaborative effort, and I'm super appreciative. Okay, I'm done. Sorry. I can get long-winded, but I the gratitude is there, and I hope that everybody understands that. Councilor Federico?
Okay, I don't want to echo too much of what Mayor Del Buono said, but I really think that this year I'm not gonna say it was fun, but it was,
I'm worried about.
That's a stretch.
First of all, Janet, wherever you are in cyberspace, you're a rock star. And I thank you, very much for all your efforts in putting this together in a way that was understandable, meaningful, the last minute changes, whatever. Also, as Mayor Beth mentioned, our town manager, he challenged his staff in this very difficult economic times. He challenged the staff to come up with a lean, mean, but budget that could get things done, and they responded. They responded appropriately, which was, enabled us to put this budget through to the residents of Newington with a small decrease in the mill rate. Again, thanking the Board of Ed for working cooperatively with us this year. I didn't feel any rancor. I didn't feel any attacks. It was everybody wants to do what's best for Newington. I thank my colleagues, Councilor Page and Councilor Rada and Councilor Graverman also. I think we all we asked the tough questions of each other. We got our points across, but yet we're moving forward together, and I think that's appropriate. So I'm really happy. So thank you to everybody.
All right, thank you. Councilor Mankey?
Yeah, I just would also thank everybody, especially our finance director, Janet Murphy, for answering all my questions, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. The counselors who worked on this budget, the staff and the town manager who put it together. I'm thankful for all of us that got this through. This is probably for those of you who are new, this is the best time to be on the council after the minute the budget passes, because then we go back to the regular stuff and more
Regular fights.
regular fights or regular stuff we do for the town. I'm also thankful that I don't have to carry this big budget book around for forever now. I can put it down cellar in the file.
All right, thank you. Councilor Page?
Yeah, I'll just echo everything y'all have said about thanking our Board of Ed, especially for bringing forth a very responsible, reasonable compromise in meeting the school's needs. And this is a time to be thankful for all that's been accomplished. I think, though, as we've discussed, I know Councilor Draco and others have raised, as we look forward to the excellent growth that's happening in Newington, I think we need to continue to monitor the challenges that will bring. Growth is good. I support growth. It's on our motto, growth and progress. I think we have what it takes to continue to manage that growth responsibly as it affects all of our services in town and our quality of life. I am pro development. I think everybody here is, and simultaneously pro responsible management of that as best as we can within our resources. And as a separate but related issue, I know the pools are crying for attention, and I know people have visited that in the past, and we need to keep looking at that. I know the town manager is acutely aware of that, and it's going to mean some dollars, and we have to make some tough decisions down the road. We're running out of land. Somebody once said they're not making any more land, and so unless we're going to start building tall buildings, and I'm not proposing that in Newington, we are going to, as the town manager himself has said, we're squeezing less juice from the lemon. And so we're going to have to look for creative ways to address those needs and not squeeze our taxpayers. Agreed. So I just wanted to say that, not to put a downer on the party. I think this is a time to briefly celebrate the hard work that everyone has done. And I'm grateful for that. Just keeping mindful as we look to the future, our challenges ahead. Thank you.
Councilor Nagel?
Thank you. I'd like to echo also what others have said and offer my gratitude and thanks for our town manager, all the department heads, Janet especially, for creating a good base for us to work from and doing a lot of the work in terms of what we can do in terms of needs instead of wants, and making our job somewhat easier. It may not seem so here on the council to determine what needs to be added or deleted or changed. And one notable thing about the adds and deletes that we did make, that many of them were washes, And indeed, funds were added as things came up, and we realized that there was a need for additional funds. And as we stated earlier, a few things that we couldn't fund were once again beyond the bounds of this particular council, and may very well be worked out within the funds that have been allotted to different resources. So once again, kudos to everyone, and we can all be happy for this minute and hopefully continue to be happy as we serve outside of the budget season.
Thank you. Councilor Retta.
Yes, as a new counselor, I do want to thank my colleagues on the council, staff, in the town hall for clarification, for answering questions, as Councilor Page said, and Councilor Mankey sometimes a few times, so that it really sinks in. The Board of Ed, we all work together, we're all working towards the same goal, and I know Councilor Budrako and I have had this conversation several times, that we may take different paths, but we're all moving towards the same goal. And I particularly want to thank the residents who have come out either via email or here in person to offer their voice, because I think it's incredibly important, and people need to know that we listen, we take it in, we understand it, and it's not a wasted effort to come and speak, that everyone's voice is important and we need to hear that. So I appreciate that as well. And I appreciate that we have put a budget to bed.
Anyone else? I just want to throw a quick thanks out because I was negligent to mention James Kropinski, our town clerk, but also our clerk of the council, for all of his efforts in helping us, and Sue Gibbon, who helps us out here at the council table too. Thank you both for your help in our process. All right, next item this evening is refunds for approval of April 19th refunds. Deputy Mayor Budrako.
Resolved that property tax refunds in the amount of $133,343.11 are hereby approved in the individual amounts and for those named on the request for refund of an overpayment of taxes certified by the revenue collector, a list of which is attached to this resolution.
Second.
Second by Councilor Nagel. Any council discussion? Questions? All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, next item is we're back to public participation. Because this is a special meeting, it needs to be limited to items on the agenda, which is related to budget. There is no one in the room that is looking to come up and speak. Attendees online, I'm looking to see if we have any hands up. I don't see any hands up in the Zoom window, so we are good there. We will continue on to remarks by counselors. Anyone? I think we covered everything, right?
Covered everything, I think.
All right, so we will move on. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Mankey, seconded by Counselor Donahue.
And everybody else.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned at 9:09 PM. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.